All right, we are live. So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to This Weekend Loaded. All right, yes, we are live. And yeah, I know it's Saturday, and this isn't the wrestling show. That'll be tomorrow night because tomorrow night is WWE's WrestleMania Backlash pay per view. So, you know what that means. Watch along day. So, we are doing This Weekend Loaded tonight. And so far, we have Gun Toting Pacifist, who is away from his computer right now because he got a call from his children, so he's taking care of that. And also with us tonight so far is, as always, Kingpin. How are you tonight, David?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I'll do pacifist's uh, intro or whatever. Paktakat Havayat.
Or how are them Armenian women treating pacifists?
Paktakat Havayat. I don't know anything else though.
Kayam Chowda.
Oh, we could always just go right to the Kennedy thing, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, just do a Ted Kennedy impression. You'll be pretty much spot on.
What do you mean? I gotta kill a woman and then dump her in the river?
Yeah, if you want, that's optional.
Oh no, see that would be different because she was actually alive when
Uh,
he left the scene and let her die in the car in the water.
yeah,
That's
MKJ.
that's
Yeah, MKJ is asking, is he from Boston? Yeah, originally. He lives in New Hampshire now, but he still has that Boston accent. Oh, sorry, I forget what I'm doing. I'm watching the Penguins game. I got it on in the background on the TV. 4-4 in the third period. Them and the Rangers.
you talking about ice hockey?
Yeah,
Who's playing the Rangers?
Penguins, round
No.
one of the playoffs.
Oh, so nobody cares about either one of those teams.
hmm Series is tied 1-1, and it's 4-4 in the third. Game three. Bucks out there. MKJO says the Capitals cruised. Yeah, screw them. Them and Ovechkin. Yes, Ozzy's out there as well. So evening, gentlemen. And yeah, I know you're out there, but you're in here, so you don't count.
They have the same accent. Pretty much everybody above Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, you can just categorize them all in the same class, okay, Joe?
Ozzy says he hates driving in Boston. Closest I've been to Boston was Fort Devens when I was in high school, because that's where we would go for junior RTC summer camp. Fort Devens, Massachusetts.
What's up, Bob?
So apparently, according to MKJO, Boston drivers are have a lot in common with the Chinese.
A lot of common with a lot of people apparently.
Yeah. No, you see why I said that, right? You see what's common is.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's a lot of those. There's a lot of
Yeah,
those out there. I don't
yeah.
know how to pronounce the stars. So I just,
Yeah, if you listen to Rob on G23 show earlier, I mean, it seems like the whole state of New York is full of them.
he's not the only one. There's a lot of people out there. Uh, I get it. I don't travel very much. I don't do much moving around, but I don't run into these type of people. And I used to, but now most people that I meet are pretty pleasant, decent people who
Hmm.
aren't really all that bad to be around.
Yeah, I mean, I knew a few assholes in Pittsburgh, but for the most part, people weren't like what Rob was saying. If you like were having trouble on the side of the road, you'd have like 3 or 4 people stop and ask if you needed help.
Well, that's what I mean. Like when I used to run around, I at any given point in time, I'm probably standing next to somebody that'll kill you just because they feel like doing something that.
Hmm.
But I don't do that. I don't hang around in places like that anymore. And then that's what baffles me when I hear regular normal people talk about all these horrible people that they run into. I'm like, why do you go to those places anymore? I get some of them are forced. Like, Defense Dad works at a public place. Like he's customer service, so he's gonna have to deal with customers, and they can be problematic. Roll call, man, that guy. Yeah, no wonder he likes his Pabst Blue Ribbon, man. Some of the stories from the gun shop that he tells. But, so I get it. You run into people like that, but I don't know. It sounds strange to me when I hear people talking about all these foul, disgusting people that are seemingly everywhere.
Hmm. No, yeah, G20. I mean, yeah, G23. No, that's not G23. That's Jason Stewart. God, we're just talking about G23, and I said the wrong name. Freudian slip, I guess. Evening, Jason.
Evening. I'm more like FS92.
MKGO says roll call has some great gun shop stories. Some are scary. Yeah, I don't really got any gun shop stories like that. I mean, I've been in gun shops and stuff, but nobody's ever done anything stupid when I was in there, so I really can't. I really don't have any those kind of stories. You guys have any of those kind of stories? Somebody doing something stupid when you walk in the gun shop?
Yeah.
Well, elaborate.
Uh, I don't know, 6 months ago, maybe a little longer, uh, I was in the gun store and a kid brought in I think it was like a Taurus G2C, and he wanted to sell it. And he brought it in loaded with extra magazines loaded and flagged all the people that worked behind the counter.
Oh, good lord.
And the old man runs a shop, threw a fit as loud as he could throw, and had that kid sitting there damn near tears saying how sorry he was over and over. He got screamed out right in his face. Sorry doesn't cut it when somebody gets a hole put in them. And told him, if you ever come back here again, I'll throw you out. And he goes, and I ought to keep you out of here and just keep your gun and everything. He had that kid just shaking in tears, man. And another one that I just let go because I didn't feel like getting in an argument with some moron. But there was a little bit of talk going on a couple years ago, and it was in the gun shop, and it was about some of the California gun laws and the ID for ammo and a background check for ammo and all this and that. And there was a guy in the store there said he was a truck driver, and he didn't say you were wrong. He had to do like very rude, like you better get your facts straight and everything, and tried saying, oh, that California doesn't have any laws like that, and he can have any gun that he wants there, and there's no background check on ammo or nothing, and just went on about it, and just instead of just saying it, like I said, he had to be like dickhead about it and say like, you better get your facts straight and everything. So I just didn't feel like getting into it with him.
Yeah, I would have had a field day with that guy.
Some men you just can't reach.
I think the worst I've seen is going into a gun shop and every other sentence is, "Nope, I can't sell it to you. You live in Maryland." I don't know how many times I've been in a gun shop and I heard that one. Because people come right across the border. Because yeah, Kingpin will tell you I live like right on the border between Maryland and West Virginia, and we always got people in the gun shops like, "Nope, I can't sell you that one. I can't sell you that one. I can't sell you that one."
Oh, I did hear one actually just a few hours ago at the gun shop. Uh, there was a customer in there. He was buying a AK-47. My shop has a lot of them right now. I'm sure they're brand new, so they're probably not the greatest quality anything or whatever. Um, but I heard him when he was doing his paperwork and heard him talking. He works in a gun shop that's a couple hours away from where we were, so he's from out of town. But he specifically kept bragging about how he works in a gun shop. And when his buddy was with him and they were buying this right AK, they were looking at the bolt and they were saying some other things and they were like trying to figure out if it's bare steel or if it's a stainless bolt or what. And they were like just something about it, man. That was on their attention. They were talking about it, and the guy who supposedly works in a gun shop had never heard the term "in the white" before, and he asked other people like, "What do you mean in the white?" So maybe he just started at the gun store.
Well, quite a few stainless steel bolts and stuff are in the white.
Never heard that before.
Never heard of in the white?
Nope.
I mean,
Okay,
it's
well
not blued or anything
say
like
you got
that.
something really really old, like a really old firearm or something, and all the blue finish is worn off, and it's kind of got that sort of silvery grayish kind of look. That's called like in the white,
Yeah.
where the original finish has worn off, not just like worn off, but like disappeared over time. You know, like
Yeah.
an old milsurp gun or something.
Or it was never blued or any of the
Yeah,
other types of
yeah, or it's
finishes
in
to
its
it in the first place.
raw form. Yeah,
Yeah, basically bare metal.
yeah, bare metal.
All
You
right,
were gonna.
I'm
Oh, go
back. I saw that MKJO asked if I was from Boston. I'm originally from 15 minutes north of Boston, but I live up in New Hampshire now.
You
yeah,
hide it very well, brother.
yeah. Huh.
Do I really?
No.
Even people that I grew up with, because I worked at Logan Airport for years. Even people that I grew up with are like, "Geez, you got a serious Boston accent." I'm like, "What?"
You know that Sam Adams commercial?
Yeah, your cousin from Boston.
Yeah, I tell everybody I know that guy.
Somebody like I think it's more than one or two people on YouTube compare me to Bill Burr.
Yeah, you do kind of have that sound to you. And you both go to the same barber.
Dude, it's racism.
Can't help it because of blood memory.
Uh-huh. Well, you were going to say something, Kingpin, when I brought up Maryland, and Jason cut you off. What were you going to say?
Oh yeah, most of the time that people are in West Virginia getting told no, you can't have that because you live in Maryland. It's because of the 10 round magazine,
Mm-hmm.
and you can still, if they wanted to, all they got to do is just ship it to their FFL, and the FFL in Maryland will pin the magazine.
Yeah, well, it's funny because the gun shops, two of the gun shops around here will actually have guns marked Maryland legal, and somebody will want one that's not marked Maryland legal. And it's like, nope, I'm not going to sell you that one. You live in Maryland. I'm not going to sell you that one. You live in Maryland.
Well, yeah, but
It's
it's
the
not
thing.
because they can't have that gun in
Yeah, I
Maryland.
know.
Because
That's what I'm saying. They'll have
generally a pistol, which you can't buy out of state without
right.
shipping it to the FFL anyway. So there you can't buy it because you live in Maryland. And I'm not going to pin this magazine because it doesn't. That's the only problem with a lot of Maryland guns. If a company, say Glock, puts out their Gen 7000, Series 400, and no manufacturer at all makes a 10 round mag for it, then most likely you won't get it sold in Maryland. Now, if any company out there anywhere has a 10 round magazine that will fit it, gun shops will get it in the 15, 17, 18 round mag and just pin the magazine down to 10 rounds.
Yeah. What I'm saying is they'll have the exact same gun, right? One will be marked Maryland legal, and the other one won't. They'll want the one that's not marked Maryland legal.
Now, if the problem, if you're talking about, say, ARs, for instance, they've got the three category rule. So you can't have a
Mhm.
pistol grip and a folding stock and a this and a that, certain combinations. And a lot of, like the M&P lines, they make the thin barrel. And in Maryland, you're required to have a heavy barrel in your AR. So a lot of stores won't sell you like out of state gun shops and all that gun stores won't sell you a barrel that has to be shipped to Maryland. That's not a heavy barrel.
Yeah. The
Now,
one,
what's the reason for that?
it's
Yeah,
Maryland.
yeah. There's no. I mean, the same reason as any other gun law. They're just trying to figure something to make it inconvenient for people.
And
Yeah.
isn't can't you have standard capacity mags in Maryland?
Sure. Yeah.
If you buy them across state borders, like somebody can come here and buy a 15 round magazine for their Glock 19, but they can't buy that same magazine in Maryland.
So they can buy it, and then if you, for some miracle, have a concealed carry permit in Maryland, you can buy a 15 round Glock mag out of state and carry it legally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. You can possess any size magazine you want. You just can't purchase, build, modify, trade, give. There's no. You can't have any type of transaction in the state of Maryland with anything more than 10 rounds. But you
So
can
I
possess.
can't mail it to you, but I can mail it to Rich, and you can meet Rich to get it.
Well, theoretically, if we're going to follow all the laws and be, Johnny on the spot about everything, you would have to mail it to an FFL here in Maryland, and they would block it, or well, they're supposed to pin, which means it can't be undone. Pin it to 10 rounds.
Yeah, I was constricted to that in Massachusetts as well. 10 round mags.
And theoretically, if you sent it to Rich and I drove to his house and picked it up, I can still bring it back and have it and do whatever I want with it. You just can't have any transaction within the actual state line.
The thing in Massachusetts is you can't have standard capacity mags unless they are produced pre-ban, which was 1998, I believe. So you could have pre-ban Glock magazines, and there's really in a lot of cases, there's no way of proving the manufacturing date.
Yeah, they don't
It
Yeah,
was
mark. They
kind of,
don't put those kind of markings on magazines.
and what really pissed me off is when I did steel matches down in Massachusetts, I would show up with my new M&P with so I was restricted to 10 round mags, but the guys that had Glock mags, like 32 fun sticks or whatever, could use those in the matches, but I was restricted to 10.
well, theoretically, like, here's my assessment, and it's not 100% right, but this is just a good baseline. If you call an FFL in Maryland and say, I'm going to send this 30 round magazine here to my friend, so I'm going to use your FFL and, you can block it or whatever. If they say no, that generally means that they won't pin the magazine because you're supposed to dent it somehow or pin it or whatever, the term, so it can't be undone. So basically it's become a 10 round magazine. A lot of places will, what they do is called, allegedly now, block the magazine. Then all you gotta do is just take the base plate off and unblock it, and then you've got a full size magazine.
The ones in Mass, the whole wall is caved in. It's dented in on both sides, like
Yeah,
a deep wedge that goes to the bottom of the magazine from the point where it holds 10, so you can't undo it. Well,
yeah.
I'm sure you could probably do it, but
Most of your like regular John Q. Public gun stores aren't gonna deal with that. They're just gonna say no. But if you get a store that's got a lot of business, they could get somebody to go back there and crimp the magazine or whatever, and then sell them that way. But like your mom and pop shop gun store isn't going to deal with doing all that. So most of the time, they just tell you no, you can't have it.
then, certain guns on that aren't on the roster for Massachusetts, you can't buy them legally, but if you go to certain gun shops, the smaller gun shops in particular that are looking to turn a profit, they'll sell you what is not serialized, and then you order what is serialized off of the internet, and then you put them together and you can register it as a build in Massachusetts. So there's plenty of loopholes to get around those type things, like buying pre-banned crap and then piecing together builds and registering them as a build so you can legally own them even though they're not on the Massachusetts roster. It's just a pain in the ass, and it's unnecessary, and it's unconstitutional. It should never even be allowed to happen in this country. They're pushing so you can murder your baby in 50 states, but you can't own certain firearms in certain states.
Now, MK Joe was talking about AKs are illegal. That's a weird one because there's all kinds of AK variants.
Yeah, but you can have a Tavor or a Scar.
Yeah, that's what I mean. And like, I know a million people that got the little Draco, the AK pistols and stuff like that, but some uh, he's right. I mean, I just don't understand how AKs are illegal, but everybody still has.
So Maura Healey in 2016 banned ARs, any style AR platform except for 22 long rifle and AKs. But you can still have a fucking Tavor or a Steyr or FN Scar. It doesn't make any sense. There's no rhyme or reason to it besides them flexing their power.
It's like Canada. Until fairly recently, when Canada went whole hog in on the semi-auto rifles, you couldn't have an AK, but you could have a VZ.
Buck wants to know what the hell a 10-round mag is.
What's a 10 round mag? This is a 10 round magazine. 10 round. Make that out.
I sold my old M&P, or else I'd be able to show you the dented walls like I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, this is a HK mag. These are made 10 rounds from the factory.
So what restricts them to 10 rounds? Just the base plate and up, or is that solid plastic from that?
No, the way that it's made, the follower can't go down any farther. It stops. Right.
Is there any way to pull that plug out or no?
No, it's not a plug. It's the way the magazine's made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the way the base plate clips in. You see those two right there, like that little. Can you see that rectangle right there?
Yeah.
That's part of the base plate. That clips in there. So you got the follower comes down. That right there, that looks like a button in the middle.
Yeah.
That's the bottom of the base plate. You got to push that, or the follower. You push that up, then you push in those two rectangles on the side, and then there's like a. I mean, I guess in theory you could, but then you ruin the value of the magazine because it's like a old USP magazine. This one's a year one, first generation magazine for it.
What's that for, Rich?
My USP, my HK USP. But that's how they.
That was designed to be a 10-round magazine.
Yeah, it's designed to be a 10 round magazine. Yeah.
I got a whole bunch of magazines that were designed to be. I don't know. Come, Pacifist, did you just buy your first gun yesterday?
Day before yesterday.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, man. Welcome to the club.
Thank you.
Hey, congratulations, man. Welcome to freedom.
I already shot a hole in my wall.
Hey, you had to catch up to obnoxious sooner or later.
It happens.
You're not a real gun owner if you haven't shot a hole in your wall. Wait, what?
I've only had one of those in my life, and it wasn't a wall, thankfully.
But see, here's the internal. Here's the bottom of that, and then you got the follower that's still that the follower doesn't like to come out. But anyway, here's the bottom of it wasn't the follower, bottom of the spring, and that keeps it to where see how that's designed there at the bottom.
Yeah.
that prevents it from going in low, and the follower from going low enough
So
to
could you
be
just
able.
replace the guts with a standard
No, because
capacity?
the nope, because the
No,
outside the shell on the the shell on the 13 rounders is completely different than this one.
really?
Yep.
Yeah, so a lot of manufacturers won't even F around and send you anything that can be converted back to standard capacity because they don't want to face the liability of it from these crazy communist states.
Yeah, but what a lot of them do is a lot of the gun manufacturers just produce a 10-round magazine. And when they ship it to a state like Maryland, they just ship it with a 10-round magazine. And when they ship it to Pennsylvania, they ship it with a 19-round magazine.
In Massachusetts, when you buy a Massachusetts compliant gun, the trigger has to be a certain way too. It's like a 10-pound trigger on a lot of guns, unless you're buying like something that's double single action, because obviously you'll have the heavier double action and then the more crisp, lighter single action. But if you're buying a striker fire gun like the M&P that I bought in Mass, I didn't even shoot it before I replaced the trigger with an Apex. It was probably 13 to 15 pounds, I would say. It was unshootable. And a friend of mine from Massachusetts had a couple of his M&Ps up at my club last month, and I was shooting them, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
That is ridiculous. That is actually a law that hindrances your accuracy.
Right. And then if you replace the trigger in those, you can only get it down to a certain point unless you replace all the springs as well.
Remember, New York City has a law where the police department, their Glocks have to have a 13-pound trigger in them.
Yeah. It's unshootable.
Okay, well that's them, and that's a policy for who you work for. The other one is a law against the citizens.
So if you're law enforcement and you have a 13-pound trigger, you're going to be hitting everything but your target. That doesn't make any sense.
Why do you think New York City police officers can't hit shit when they're shooting at somebody and they have to unload their gun so much?
Well, New York City police officers don't do shit to begin with.
Not anymore because they're not allowed.
Right, exactly.
A trigger weight law.
Yeah,
How
isn't that
does
ridiculous?
stand up? How does that stand up in court? Has it never been challenged?
You know what? For some reason, especially Maura Haley's ban on ARs and AKs has been challenged multiple times, and it keeps getting upheld. I don't know why the most commonly owned rifle in the entire United States is banned in any state. That should be a slam dunk case. It's the most commonly owned rifle. I don't know how they get away with it.
Yeah, there was the case from way back when. It was the guy that challenged the NFA under the short barrel shotgun thing. If you guys remember what I'm talking about, this was years ago. This was right after the NFA was passed. The guy challenged because he was arrested for not having a properly registered short barrel shotgun. He didn't pay the tax on it. In that ruling, the Supreme Court stated that the Second Amendment covers weapons commonly in use by the military. The reason why the Supreme Court ruled against him was at that time, short-barreled shotguns were not in common use by the military. And they also said that this is why it would apply to short-barreled rifles because they're not used by the military.
The length of a barrel should not matter.
Well, hold on. Modern military, if you go by that Supreme Court ruling, short-barreled shotguns and short-barreled rifles should be legal without having to pay a tax stamp now because they're both in common use by the United States military.
That's a good point, yeah.
Yeah, the military doesn't use a 16-inch barrel. They use a 14.5.
Yeah, on the M4s. Yeah.
Well, you can get a 14-inch barrel for my 870, I believe.
Yeah. And the door breaching shotgun that my brother used when he was in the Marine Corps over in Iraq had a 14-inch barrel. It was my Shockwave with a stock on it. It was a Mossberg 500. It was either a 500 or a 590 with a 14-inch barrel that was specifically for door breaching uses.
So I think that's the minimum or the maximum. What am I trying to say? I think that's the minimum length you can go to on a shotgun and be legal is 14 inches. Because when I was shopping for a shorter barrel from smaller, like shorter smoothbore barrel for my 870. I went with the 18 just because I like that length.
Well, 18 is if you have a stock on it.
But you can also buy a 14.
Yeah, but that's a short barrel shotgun if it has a stock. The if you look at the law, 18 the way the NFA is written in the Gun Control Act of 1968, which put even more restrictions on short barrel shotguns. The shotgun barrel to have a stock on it has to be 18 inches. If the barrel on it is shorter than 18 inches, you have a SBS.
Oh,
The
so
reason,
if I went ahead and bought that 14-inch barrel, I would have been illegal unless I didn't have a stock on it.
yeah,
Oh, I
if
didn't know
if
that.
if
I
it's a
almost bought
shock,
that
yeah,
14.
if it's something like the Shockwave, that's how the Shockwave gets around that because the Shockwave is longer than 26 inches overall.
Because it has the bird's head on it.
Yeah, but as soon as if you take that bird's head off and put a stock on it, you now have an SBS.
Yeah, they changed our laws here for the shockwave. Uh, when it originally came under the laws we had, the shockwave would have been an illegal weapon. It had been like a every other weapon deal here or something, and they actually had to vote, rewrite the laws, and pass them twice to get the language correct to make it 100% legal for those shockwaves to be sold here. But the funny part is, before any of that was done, you could still go to the store and buy one of them.
Yeah, I remember when that happened. Budget did a big thing on his show about it. Yeah, it was absolutely asinine.
Yeah, they went through all the hard work and did it once, and then didn't passed it, and then whoever translated that into actual words to be submitted in the record or whatever didn't phrase stuff right, so they had to go redo it again.
Yeah, a year or two ago, they had to add knives into our preemption law here because when they passed the preemption law, they forgot to put knives in it. That was about because we had people that were carrying like switchblades and stuff, and they were being arrested in places like Martinsburg because the preemption law didn't cover knives. So Martinsburg had a law against carrying switchblades within the city limits, and they realized, oops, we screwed up because under the constitutional carry law, carrying a switchblade is legal in the state of West Virginia under state law. But because it wasn't preempted, because they forgot to put that in the preemption law, which screwed that up, and you had people that were still getting arrested for it.
What happened to the wrestling show, Rich?
That's tomorrow night.
Oh, is there a pay-per-view or something tomorrow?
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Which one?
WrestleMania Backlash.
Really? You need any money or anything for this?
No, it's on. That's on Peacock.
Okay, cool, man. Well, Mother's Day wrestling action. I'm
Yeah.
down.
What time's that start? 9?
7. Pre-show
Oh,
starts
really?
at 7. Yeah.
If you give me a minute to talk a little wrestling, I came across some YouTube channels this week that has all the old World Championship wrestling from like the 80s. I mean, the dates are on them. You know what I mean? Like 84s and 85s, like every week. And I watched a couple. And it was so entertaining. It was so fun to see the olden days
Mm-hmm.
and see all those old wrestlers when they were young. That was pretty cool. Like
Yeah. You go.
like the ring was only like 10 foot by 10 foot, and the crowd was like 3 rows of wooden bleachers or whatever, and you could hear the crowd the whole time, like break his arm, twist his arm, and it was just great. It was great to see the humble beginnings, and then the compared to the spectacular events that are put on today. But those little humble beginnings like that, man, with all the Hall of Famers was there. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone and Jimmy Crockett standing there, and like Dusty Rhodes and everybody come out. They're just wearing blue jeans. It was
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. Tony Schiavone has a channel on YouTube. What Happened When is the name of it, and it's him and what the hell's his name? God damn it! I can see his face. I can't think of his damn name. It's Rick Flair's son-in-law. I can't remember his damn name right now. Conrad Thompson. It's the two of them, and what they and last year, all of last year, all they did was every show they would go back and watch the Saturday Night Show from TBS from 1986, and where they were just commenting about what they would watch it and comment as they were watching it back again.
Yeah, they had a wrestler on one of the shows I watched that I'd almost forgotten about in time. And he had a good match and a couple good interviews. And I'm sure you remember this name, the Boogie Woogie Man, Jimmy
Oh yeah,
Valiant.
Jimmy Valiant. The '86 man, the feud between him and Paul Jones was epic for the comedy and everything that was involved in that. Uh,
Oh,
Jimmy
sorry to
Valiant.
hijack your thing. I've been
Yeah,
waiting
I
all
know.
week to tell you that. I watched some of them really old shows, and man, I watched those live like a little kid sitting on the floor. You know what I mean, with your elbows in your hands and holding your chin. You know what I mean? I was a little tyke when I was
Yeah,
watching
MKJ,
those, and that was just
MK,
pretty cool.
Remember those
MKJO
little
threw a
rubber
link out
dolls they
there.
had? The
Yeah, MKJO threw out the link for what happened when out there in the YouTube chat if anybody wants to check that out. But go ahead, Pastor. Sorry.
Did you guys have those little rubber dolls, the WWF character dolls?
Little man, you could blackjack somebody with one of those
Yeah,
things.
they're pretty hefty. And then you get the ring that you could get too.
Uh
Just
huh.
fling them off each other.
I'd like
Uh-huh.
to just go on record as correcting. I didn't play with dolls. I had action figures. Action figures, thank you.
There was nothing action
Yes.
about those
Jimmy
WWE.
Superfly Snooker came with a brush so you could brush his hair.
There was nothing action about those things, man. They were a solid piece of rubber. You couldn't bend the damn arms on those things.
I had Hulk Hogan and the Iron Sheik, and I might have had. Oh, I had the Roddy Piper one.
Remember the certain smell they had when you first got them?
Uh huh. Yeah, I had Big John Stud, and man, if you wanted to walk up behind somebody, crack him in the head, you'd kill him.
Oh yeah, like a really thick, heavy rubber.
Oh yeah, that was like vulcanized rubber, and Big John Stud was like that thick. No joke, he was that thick. You walk up behind somebody, you crack him in the back of the head, right about where your spine meets the back of your neck, you'd kill him.
I wish I still had those things. What are those things worth these days? I
I
imagine
have no idea. If they're anything like Transformers, they're worth a good bit.
because they were, made out of, like you said, vulcanized rubber, really quality material.
Yeah, I mean they were heavy.
Shit, they'd bounce out of a lawnmower, man.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then if you remember, they came out with the little thumb wrestler ones where you're supposed to put them on your thumb and thumb wrestle with them. And if you put them on your thumb, you couldn't move your damn thumb. I don't know how you're supposed to thumb wrestle with the damn things. Anyway, I don't know how we got onto this, but Jason said Jason sabotaged the show here talking about wrestling. I know what it is. He's used to Saturday night being in the wrestling chat, so he just jumped right into a wrestling subject.
I was just trying to provide content and conversation, man.
Well, we got a topic. We just haven't gotten to it yet. So anyway, I guess we could get to that because it's an interesting one. I think maybe. So I was watching. I want to say it was Nerdrotic, which I don't know if you guys know the Nerdrotic channel on YouTube. It's a conservative like movie and comic review kind of thing.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about myself.
Yeah, I think that's who I was watching. They were talking about how all the sci-fi things and everything are going woke and you know socialist and all that stuff. And they one guy was saying, "Yeah, this goes all the way back to the '60s." And as soon as he said that, what's the first thing you think I thought of? Come on, one of you got to know. Going back to the '60s, what sci-fi show started all this shit? Nobody knows.
Star Trek.
Yeah, Star Trek. Star Trek is the original woke sci-fi show. If you think, I mean, if you look at what Gene Roddenberry did when he created Star Trek, he took his ideas of a socialist utopia, and that's what Star Trek is. And I'm sure I don't know if we've ever talked about it on this channel, but I know the other channels have, where the Romulans were like the Chinese, the Klingons were like the Russians, and the Vulcans were the Japanese, and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, it's interesting. You get up into the 80s, and what new villainous race comes along? The Borg, right? With a And who was the adversary that the United States was facing in the 80s?
The USSR.
No, that would be the Klingons. Kingpin probably could figure this out. Think about it.
Oh, snack bar.
Yeah, exactly. The Borg is Islam. I mean, so, and then if you look, and then what comes along after that? The Ferengi. Who are the Ferengi? The Ferengi are all the capitalist corporations. They're the guys out there just wanting to make money, and they're one of the bad guys. What's a more socialist ideal than capitalism being the bad guys?
That is pretty socialist.
Mm-hmm. So what do you guys think about that one? What, can you think of any other old sci-fi shows that would have that kind of bend to it?
I don't know. That's kind of deep for me, bro.
Wait a minute. I'm having one. Buck Rogers was trying to implant in our mind that we would have little tiny robots that would tell us what to do all the time. And his robot was named Twiggy. And now everybody's hooked on Twitter.
Uh,
See? See?
yeah. His robot at the beginning was pretty cool because it was voiced by Mel Blanc, and then they changed the person that was voicing him, and then Twiggy went to shit. So. Yeah, if you would you? What about Battlestar Galactica? I'm talking the original Battlestar Galactica, not that sci-fi channel show. But what do you guys think about that one? Do you think there was any kind of that kind of stuff going on in there as well? 'Cause I don't remember it that well because I haven't seen it in so long.
I don't know. I remember, but ever since Kingpin brought up Buck Rogers, my mind is just stuck on
Major
Pamela
Dan,
Hemsley on that show.
Major Dan.
I think Battlestar Galactica was more of like a Maoist struggle session.
No, that would qualify. I mean, now, so that was communism. So
I always liked the bad guys. I don't remember their names, but remember they were like the chrome and black robot guys
yeah,
with the
the
red eye that went
Cylons.
back. Yeah, yeah. I always thought those were cool.
Yeah, the Lorne Green Battlestar Galactica, Gary. Lorne Green, face from the A Team, Dirk Benedict, and the one dude from It Is Enough.
So Battlestar Galactica, were they up there because of mostly climate change that ruined their own country?
Well, that's the one where Earth was supposed to be one of their colonies that they lost contact with, and when the Cylons started taking over their galaxy, they went looking for Earth to try and hook back up with their colonists that disappeared. That they had lost, well, not disappeared, but they had lost contact with. So the whole premise of Battlestar Galactica is humans on Earth are actually aliens from another galaxy, and we just forgot everything.
Hmm.
Oh, basically the truth.
Kingpin says it's hard to imagine Ben Cartwright as a starship captain. Well, that's okay because I don't think he was actually the captain of the ship so much as he was the admiral of that fleet and was in charge of the whole thing. I don't remember if he was actually the captain of the ship or if he was, or if somebody else was the captain under him, like would
I
normally
think
happen
Adam.
in the U.S. Navy.
Adam was probably the captain, right?
Uh, well, Adama was uh, Lauren Green's character, but his rank was admiral. He was Admiral Adama. I don't remember, and honestly, I don't remember if there was a actual ship captain under him on board the Galactica because the Galactica was the flagship of their little group that they had. That, but so I don't remember. I don't remember the whole story. Um, but yeah, I can see where he's going. I mean, it's hard to picture Ben Cartwright as the admiral of a fleet of starships, either for that matter. So
No, it's not hard to picture. Just go look on YouTube and find an old show and watch it.
no. It's hard to picture when you when you've watched like uh, Bonanza
Big
on
Valley.
old, not Bonanza. Bonanza. I mean, you expect Haas and Little Joe to come walking in, and they never show up on the show.
Now, was it Bonanza or was it Big Valley?
No, that was Bonanza. Bonanza was one with Norn Green, Michael Landon, Dirk Blocker, and for a little bit, Pernell Roberts. Big Valley was the one with Lee Majors and Barbara Stanwyck, and the chick from Dynasty, whose name I can't remember. Linda Evans, that's what it was. She was on the Big Valley. Buck out there says Haas was the captain of the ship. That would have been hilarious.
Haas was the muscle.
Yeah, Haas would have been the head of security. Michael Landon would have been the captain. Little Joe was the captain, and Ben was the admiral of the fleet.
But you can definitely see it in Star Wars how the Empire was definitely the they were trying to impose their will and have everybody do things that they wanted to do, like a communist empire type democratic party.
Well, the Empire, if you listen to what George Lucas said, was a combination of Nazi Germany and Roman Empire, which is why their outfits were designed the way they were, especially Vader. Vader's helmet was designed specifically after the German helmet from World War One and World War Two.
So he was saying that it's part of the Roman Empire as well.
Mm-hmm. If you look
Really?
at like how they wore the robes and stuff, and how
True,
Vader's cape and all that, yeah.
Yeah, and like the humans, like the commanders and stuff, not the stormtroopers. Their uniforms were very German, very Nazi-ish,
Mm-hmm.
and their little hat and all that.
Yeah, and if you look at the guys walking around with the black uniforms in Star Wars, those were stormtroopers outside of their armor. So they had uniforms. If you remember, who wore black uniforms in Nazi Germany? The SS. The stormtroopers were basically the SS, is what the symbolism was.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because remember, the stormtroopers were the elite, because then you had the Imperial Army and the Imperial Navy below the stormtroopers.
Plus the name Stormtrooper itself.
Yeah, that's what the SS stood for. Schutzstaffel, if I remember right, it's what it was, which meant stormtrooper in German. Yeah, something to that effect anyway. I don't remember the exact translation, but that's essentially what it meant. There's a couple different words for storm in German. One of them being Sturmgewehr, which is where that got the name from. And then you have Blitzkrieg, which is like the blitz being lightning. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of different words that can mean the same kind of thing if translated into English from German.
Yeah, those Germans got a different word for everything.
Hmm. Sometimes three or four.
Said Germans.
Yeah.
So then the good guys in a sci-fi show would have to be multiracial, right?
Well, if you look at the Federation, by the way, was the United Nations. If you look at the symbol for the uh, United Federation of Planets, that is the UN symbol, just updated to have more than just Earth on it.
Or you could look at Marvel's current market share.
Let's not even get started on Marvel. Oh, God.
Evening Trapper.
Yeah. Trapper Paul. Joe says, "Hey, Corn Pop, I got hairy legs. I'll take another ice cream cone." Evening Trapper.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
Yeah, he had a rusty razor and a chain. Nobody messed with Corn Pop. And remember, that was one of Biden's more lucid moments. He didn't poop his pants at that point.
So I forget what did he exactly say about Corn Pop? He beat him in a fight.
Uh huh.
How did it go down? I forget exactly.
Now, Corn Pop. Look, Joe Biden was the lifeguard at the pool, and apparently it was either biracial pool or he was at the blacks pool.
Oh, it's definitely the black school because the kids love to play with his blonde hair and his legs.
Uh huh.
And Corn Pop was getting ready to jump in the pool, and he didn't have his bathing cap on because he had activator or something in his hair. So you have to put the cap on to keep the oil from getting all over the pool, which doesn't work anyway.
Was that
So
Soul Glow?
Joe Biden says, "Hey Esther," apparently trying to call him Esther Williams. Get down off of there, put your bathing cap on before I drag you off. And then he kind of skips to the end of the story where the maintenance man for the pool had him down in like the pool shed, and Joe was scared, so the pool shed guy gave him his chain and told him to wrap it around his hand and bust Corn Pop in the head with it. And then he went up and confronted Corn Pop. They never actually fought because they Joe stood up for himself and Corn Pop respected that.
Uh-huh.
And that I just want to know what he learned about roaches.
Yeah. Yeah. He learned about roaches from kids playing with his hair on his legs. I was like, what? Yeah, that's also where he learned that he liked having little kids sit on his lap. Yeah, he's a creepy old fuck, that's for sure.
His whole family. Damn.
Are you sure he didn't think Corn Pop was Aunt Esther from Sanford and Son?
It's possible.
There's a yard that I make deliveries at, and their yard goat that does their local trailer moves just in the yard has a picture of Sanford and Son on plastered on the driver's side door. It's awesome because it's such a beater. The truck that they use to do the yard moves is something straight out of Sanford and Son's yard, and it's got their picture plastered on the side of it. It's awesome.
My brother used to love watching Sanford and Son reruns. He's like, I'm going to get one of those pickup trucks one day. He never has, but he used to always say he was going to get one. He's like,
That's
I'm
one
going
of
to
the
get.
best theme songs ever.
I used to
Uh-huh.
love that show.
I still think the best episode was the one where Grady found the wild parsley and was putting it in everything. Everybody was getting high as all hell.
Remember that dumbass white cop that was just always out
Uh,
of place, and
yeah, you had the
you know,
white cop with the black cop, and the black cop was like down with everything, and the white cop had to stick up his ass.
yeah, he's so awkward and just out of it all the time.
That's what made it funny. And that was a good show.
Yeah. I remember one where Fred was talking about who was his wife, Louise.
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth, yeah.
Yeah.
He was talking about when they first met and everything. He was talking about one night he waited till late at night and climbed up to the roof of the house and snuck in the back bedroom. You know what I mean? And got down to work or whatever. And then Esther was sitting there and she's like, her bedroom was up front. That was my bedroom in the back. And then both of them start having the heart attack and everything.
Oh damn! It's the big one. Here I come, Elizabeth. I'm coming. I'm coming for you.
Of course, the classic was like the desk drawer that didn't open until you like banged or beat on it,
Mm.
where you keep the money and stuff.
MKJ says All in the Family was good. Yeah, that was another good show. Remember, Archie was supposed to be the bad guy in that show, but I agreed more with Archie than I did anybody else on the show.
That is the best part of it all. Is every time I see Rob Reiner, I just think you
What a
made
nut
all of
job.
it possible, you jackass.
What
Because
a nut job he is.
that's exactly
Mhm.
the truth. Is Archie was supposed to be hated and like the butt of every joke, and everyone in America loved Archie and hated Meathead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Used people got more ways for the world to end than a dog has fleas.
Yep. And going with one of Archie's things with Meathead, one of the kittens is really stupid. He has like no common sense even for a cat, right? He's always like running in doors and shit. And I looked at him one day, I was like, "Yep, you're a meathead, dead from the neck up."
Meathead.
My daughter just sat there laughing because she got the reference.
Edith was like a twin, a spitting image of my grandmother, and she had the same super naive, just personality that Edith did. Man, can't hardly watch All in the Family without it. Just everything about her reminded me of my grandma.
Yeah, Edith was the peacekeeper. She was the one that was trying to keep everybody, all the peace going around with the family especially between Archie and Meathead. That's the way my grandmother was. If there was like a family disagreement, she would be the one trying to mediate and get everybody back and talking to each other and stuff.
Yeah, I'll tell you a classical, and I say she's just like Edith. Um, I don't know how it happened back in the day. Somehow I was singing it as a young kid or saying something. But you know the Beatles song, 8 Days a Week?
Mm-hmm.
Grandma said something about, what are you saying whenever there's 7 days a week? And I told her, no, the Beatles are from England. There's 8 days a week in England. And she believed me. And
What
like,
did she do? Edith. Oh.
oh, worse than this, man. You know how Gizzard Gary does his "What Did You Learn Tonight" episode?
Mm-hmm.
They would do that in our family church. And my grandma, who
Oh
at the
God,
time
no.
was, 40s, 50s, she stands up in church to confess what she learned this week, and she's so proud to learn that she didn't realize it that England has 8 days a week. And so I embarrassed her in front of all her people
Oh,
her own age at church, and she could have just about killed me. See what I said about Edith? Her and my grandma Ruby.
mhm.
Her and Edith were just about right, man. A little dizzy upstairs.
Mhm.
She's probably turning in her grave for me telling you that story.
How long were you back there, Stace? I didn't get a notification. I didn't get the sound that you were there.
Oh, less than a minute. It wasn't that
Oh,
very
okay.
long.
Was
Okay.
Rich snubbing you?
Hey, Rich, don't keep a lady waiting.
Well, no, I never got the notification sound that she was back there. I was looking at something else, and then I came back over. I was looking, there's Stacy back in the. Oh shit!
Well, I'm glad you joined us, Mystic.
I know. I just figured you were missing me too much.
But yeah. Sorry to disappoint you. We're not talking wrestling tonight.
See.
It's so bad I'm talking my grandma church, Archie Bunker, and the Beatles. So,
Yeah.
welcome to the conversation.
How'd you enjoy your song last night, Rich?
I didn't listen. I muted it. I was getting into one, and then all of a sudden you changed the channel. I was like, oh god damn it!
Oh, that was
You
funny
would
though.
have listened if it was Queen.
Yes, I would have listened if it was Queen.
If I had known Jason was in there, I would have turned it over to that one. But
I just put it on Bohemian Rhapsody. You would have loved that.
yeah, Metallica one came on the radio, and I'm like, dang it, he's on this stupid show, and I would just totally blast it because I love that song.
But the snob tell you what I said
No,
when you change channels. Like only a heathen turns the channel when one's on. I told him to tell you, but guess he didn't.
One, as a Metallica one,
Yes,
and you turned the channel?
yes, she did.
I have it on my Spotify anyways, but it's not good when you can't blast it.
I believe in some states that's a crime.
And it's one of my favorite songs.
It's got a good video.
Oh yeah, was it Johnny Get Your Gun? Is that
Uh-huh.
what the movie was?
Yep. And it fits the song perfectly.
Before I got with Kent, God, it would have been like 2007, 2008. I went to Metallica concert in Tulsa, me and my sister. Oh my God, it was so awesome.
I haven't been to a Metallica concert since 1992.
It was the best concert I've been to.
Of course, that wasn't just Metallica. That was Metallica and Guns N' Roses.
I haven't seen Guns N' Roses in concert. I've seen Def Leppard and Journey.
seen Guns N' Roses, which really wasn't much to write home about. Metallica, Megadeth, Kiss, more than once. Uh, the
Megadeth would
Ramones.
have been awesome. I love Megadeth.
Uh, this is probably one of the best concerts I've been to. It wasn't a full arena show. They only had one end of the arena in use. They called it theater seating. So it was like if you were going like watching a symphony, that kind of theater, where they had the stage and then the stands, like you know what I mean. There were only like 2,000 seats available for the show. I,
Slayer would have been a good concert to go to.
yeah, Slayer would have been cool. I would have loved to have gone to see the Big Four when they were doing that tour a couple years ago. Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, and Anthrax.
Oh, I forgot about Anthrax. They were awesome too.
I remember who else I've seen. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, but not under Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, their original band name, which I can never remember. The Mudcrutch, that's what it was. They were in the opening act was freaking ZZ Top under a fake name. I think I know I've told this story before. I don't know if it was on this show or not, but my brother was a big Tom Petty fan, and I heard that and we had this place in Pittsburgh called the Icy Light Amphitheater and Tent, and you would have like a bunch of like smaller bands that are just starting out, and or older bands like George Thorogood and the Destroyers would play there, or just local, and some local bands would play there, and it was like a club kind of setting, you know. And they said Mudcrutch was going to be there on the radio one day. I was like, wait, did I hear that right? I went back and replayed it, and they were like, holy shit! I knew who it was. I knew who my brother didn't. So I got tickets, advanced tickets, because normally you didn't have to get advanced tickets, but they were selling advanced tickets for this show. Yeah, they said with surprise special opening act, right? That kind of thing. So, and it was both of our birthdays because his is March 11th and mine's March 15th. So for his birthday, I was going to take him to this show because he was a big Tom Petty fan. We get there, you know, and we're at the bar area, and we were drinking like Coke and Pepsi and shit like that because we're both underage. But they come out and they announce the opening act, and for the life of me, I can't remember what name they used. But everybody in the bar looks up at or up in their place looks up at the stage, and everybody does like a double take because everybody knows what ZZ Top looks like, right? Correct? Everybody here? Yeah, there's no mistaking ZZ Top, right?
All right.
With those beards, the fuzzy instruments, and everything. There's no mistaking fucking ZZ Top when they're on stage. Like I said, everybody does a fucking double take because it's fucking ZZ Top. There's no way you could mistake them for anybody else. They start playing, and you know everybody's just like going nuts because freaking ZZ Top, who wasn't supposed to be there, is there. And you know they get done doing their set. Billy Gibbons hands his guitar to somebody, jumps off the stage, walks up to the bar, and just orders a beer. He's like 5 stools down from me, and then my brother says something. I wonder who this Mudcrutch band is, and Billy Gibbons looks at him and says, "Oh, you'll see." It's the funniest thing ever. And Tom Petty comes out, and my brother just loses his mind. The best part is this was right after. Um, this this was either right after the Greatest Hits album with Mary Jane's Last Dance on it, or Full Moon Fever. I can't remember which album was it just came out. And Tom Petty had just finished up the tour for whichever one of those albums it was. And ZZ Top had just came off a major tour as well. And we wanted to get tickets for one of those 2 shows. We couldn't get tickets to either one of them because they sold out so fast. And my brother, this was like the perfect setting, you know, because a concert in a club setting is much better than going to an arena show. 'Cause, you know, you don't have to worry about whether you're going to have good seats or not, you know. So that was probably the best concert I've ever been to. There were only like a couple hundred people in this place. And the crazy part is nobody was like mobbing the members of ZZ Top for autographs or anything. So that was like cool too. And then when when I saw the Ramones, that was in a club setting too. That was at Metropole in Pittsburgh. That was a good show. The Ramones went, man. You didn't get a chance to take a break during a Ramones show. You know how most bands will play a song and then they'll talk and then they'll start playing the other song. The Ramones would go from one song right into the next song. They didn't stop. Everybody's still here. Hello.
Yo,
Yeah.
Nobody's saying anything. It's like,
I was just remembering. I was at the concert for Dokken. It was Dokken, Slaughter, Warrant, and Alice Cooper, and it was a really small crowd, just a few thousand people outdoors, and like you could be up close to the front stage anytime you went up there. But I was a big Dokken fan. Always liked their music, and at this time when I saw the concert, pretty much it was the last concert they'd done before they broke up. Uh, George Lynch and Don Dokken got into it on stage. Don Dokken threw down his microphone and left and quit. And I that's what I got to watch for my concert. So it was a historical event, I guess.
mm, oh yeah, that at that time period, the two of them hated each other.
Well, what was going on is Don Dokken, the lead singer, he was trying to entertain the crowd. So like the music would die down, he'd stop singing, and he'd just be like talking and interacting, with the crowd and stuff out there. You know what I mean? And every time he would try to do that, George wouldn't turn his guitar down. He'd
Hmm.
like turn it up. He'd even be louder. And like Dockett even like went to him, like turned his head a couple times. He's like, "Come on, George, please, man." And like the next song or whatever in their set that they had, rehearsed ready to play, the band would all like be on one song, and George Lynch on guitar would just change to a completely different song,
Yeah, that's
and the
like the
band would all have to go to adjust to him, and he just stayed over by himself, like in his own little section of the stage and his speakers, and was just all in the zone by himself. Had no, recollection of what the rest of the band was doing, and I guess they just got tired of it, man. He just like said, "Fuck it." Threw down the microphone and stormed off stage. Watched him walk off backstage, and he took off to his tour bus, and that was that.
yeah, it's like the one MTV Music Video Awards back way back when. This would have been early '90s, I think. CC DeVille from Poison was so fucked up when Poison went up to do their performance. He was playing the wrong songs. The band was getting ready to play one song. He was playing a different song.
Yeah, I know that happens a lot. A lot of famous bands have lost band members over that happening. I'm sure sometimes it could be a mistake, or like you said, he was pretty messed up at the time. But the way Dokken was doing it,
Oh
he
yeah,
was
I know
doing
what
it
you're
just to
talking
be a
about.
dick,
Yeah, I know. I've heard that story from other people. George, at that point, George Lynch and Don Dokken did not like each other. To say and that's being generous. I mean, George
I,
Lynch, he was on that metal show, and they asked him if there's ever any chance of him getting back with Don Dokken. He said, "If I ever see that son of a bitch, I'm going to kill him."
Are we supposed to know who these people are? Is
Oh,
it
you
are,
might not.
Would you say that they were under lock and key?
Tooth and nail.
Yeah.
But they got back together. They're back for the attack.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the band?
Talking.
You never heard such a thing.
Dawkins, bro. You can
You
get
don't
them on
know
a
who
cassette,
Dawkins is?
that tape to this
Where
day.
were you in the 1980s?
Yeah, seriously.
I've heard of Tekken, that video game, but I've never heard of talking.
Okay,
Okay,
think,
man, you
think.
never heard the song "Breaking the Chains"?
Or have you
Uh,
ever seen Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4: Dream Warriors?
I don't
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, they did the whole soundtrack for that one.
Yeah, they did the whole soundtrack for that.
I remember watching the third one and then losing interest after that.
Well, have you ever heard of Rocklahoma here?
No.
Oh
Rock-
my God!
Rocklahoma, they started back here in 2007. I went in 2007. So I couldn't remember where all bands played. But I was looking it up. But
I've heard of Dio. Is that the name of the band?
yeah, Dio is.
Dio's
Dio-
Ronnie James
Yeah,
Dio's
Donnie.
band.
Yeah, Dio was Ronnie James Dio's band,
Yeah,
but he
what's
wasn't
you
doing
said?
Black Sabbath.
You said "Rock the Bells" and "Rock the Chains." What's the same song I'm supposed to know, Jason?
Oh, "Breaking the Chains" was one of their very earliest hits. I mean, they had. I could name off 50 great Dawkins songs. I
man.
mean, whole
Dream
albums
Warriors
they'd
was a
have
big
where
hit.
every song was good.
Yeah.
I just can't believe you ever heard of Dawkins.
Yeah, the
George
song,
Lynch is an incredible guitar player. He has his own style to it, and everything. I will admit, Dawkins music is studio produced, though. There's only one lead guitar player in their music, but you hear several guitars. That's because they redub it over into studio. So their best music is studio created. But George Lynch is a hell of a fucking guitar player, man.
Oh hell yeah!
And I just always liked Dawkins. Just about all their songs were great, man. But yeah, they did the Nightmare on Elm Street. But George Lynch was one of those guitarists, like all the great professionals, whatever. They have a style and their sound all of their own. You know what I mean? And George Lynch is just one of those, man. Yeah, I can't believe you never heard of him, man. I mean, they were pretty much a big time band. I mean, it wasn't like it was like a class B or anything. You know what I mean? They were the big band.
Yeah, they were big for a while there in the '80s. They were all over MTV and shit. Big part of the hair metal band movement.
You know, George Lynch is back with them.
They get back
Dawkins
together.
back together, but like I swear, every one of them's like 70 years old now.
No, they are.
And well, Don Dawkins, he got his arms and hands are paralyzed. But he still sings. He stands there. He doesn't dance around the stage, but he stands there in the microphone. It wasn't long ago I watched a performance that they did right here in like December of 2021, and George Lynch was with him and Dawkins, but Dawkins still had a smart ass mouth toward George Lynch on the stage and stuff. I mean, there's still definite friction there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, probably always will be.
Yeah, he let George do a guitar solo, and then when he was done, he like walked over there all like punkish, and it's like, "You happy now? You feel better? Good." And then
Anyways, that Rocklahoma I was talking about, I went in 2007. It was a 4-day rock concert. Here's some of the bands that I listened to. They had Slaughter, Quiet Riot, Rat, Poison, Bullet Boys, Faster Pussycat, Firehouse, Warrant, Skid Row, Winger, Dawkins, Vince Neil, Steelheart, LA Guns, Great White, Jackal, Queensryche, and Twisted Sister.
No Rat.
I went all 4 days.
Yeah,
that
some of those-
Rat wasn't
sounds
there?
like
Come
an excellent concert.
yeah, but it's Queensryche without Jeff Tate on vocal. I mean, honestly,
Is Queensryche rock music?
yeah.
They were the last band on the last night. Queensryche, and they were. I mean, they stayed out way longer than any other band did because it was the last band, the last night, and it was awesome.
It's
Yeah.
kind of like rock opera though, right?
What? Oh, what? Don't send me that kind of stuff no more. Y'all kidding me, right?
Oh my god.
That was a joke. Y'all messing with me, right?
No.
Stacy,
What?
that was the band. That's the Dokken you're talking about.
Yes, I sent you the actual full video.
Oh, shame on
Which
all. What?
which
Oh
one?
my god.
Breaking the Chains.
Oh, that was a very early one, but man, get the album Back for the Attack. Everything's great. Uh, Tooth and Nail, half of them's real good. Uh, yeah, man. You just don't take them off their very first video in like 1981, all right? Look at their stuff from like 1985, 1986. Under Lock and Key's a good album, really good album. But skip anything from like 90s above. That sucks.
Wow.
That one's kind of not fair, Kingpin, really, to judge it on it. That's like a very early song on a very early band. Their
That was
musical
the one.
talent got a lot better.
That was the first song you recommended, though.
Because it's the first one, their first big hit, man. They're famous for it.
Where's Night Strike at Tuesday nights now? That was a miss.
And believe it or not, one of the good shows that I've ever seen is Metallica did all their greatest hits, and they did it live, and they did it acoustically, and that was pretty good.
One of my favorite Metallica albums is S&M. That was one they did with the San Francisco Symphony Orchestra. But Defense Dad says Operation Mindcrime is a good album. No, gotta correct you. Operation Mindcrime is a great album.
Who's that?
Queensryche.
It's a nobody band, Kingpin.
I've heard of Queensryche before. They had that one good that first album they came out with, Empire or whatever.
No, that wasn't their first album.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that was
Absolutely
That was like
favorite
their
song
fourth.
from them is Silent Lucidity. I love
Yeah,
that
that's
song.
off of Empire.
it's all in the Empire album.
Man, I actually know a person that's one of the world's biggest assholes, and
Oh, so you know my husband.
this might be higher up in the family tree, but he's top shelf asshole.
Oh, you
I
haven't met mine.
swear, not joking, not making fun of Queensryche or nothing. He got the Queensryche, was it the Empire album there that had their good radio hits on it? He put that cassette tape in his stereo out in the garage where we hang out and drink and stuff. And that cassette tape never left that radio for more than 20 years. It's just a terrible tragedy his family had to endure.
Yeah, that would be pretty bad.
Serious.
All right,
serious.
Kingpin, I
Not-
just
not
sent you
another
Under Lock and Key, brother.
tape. Yeah. Actually, a real good album is just plain old Don Dokken without George Lynch. There's a lot of good songs on that one. Mirror, Mirror, and Lost Behind the Wall. Just a lot of them in there. A Prisoner, Chained by Love. That's a good song, man.
I mean, they're
Alone
definitely
Again.
an iconic '80s band, hair band.
Oh yeah, Alone Again. Oh man, that's a great song. Into the Fire. When Heaven Comes Down. All of them's good, man.
Rob's out there asking, "What is this?" No, you never answered my question earlier when I asked you that when you were going live, Rob. So you don't get to ask that question either. Besides, that's usually Gary or Obnoxious that asks that question. Operation Mindcrime had a couple of hits off of there too for Queensryche. Eyes of a Stranger and I Don't Believe in Love were both hits ones for them from that album.
Defense Dad mentioned Smooth Up in You.
Yeah. They were on Range World soundtrack, I think it was. They did a cover of Montrose's God damn it. Oh, what the hell was the song now? I had it and then I lost it.
What group?
Bullet Boys.
Smooth Up in You.
No, I'm talking about on the Wayne's World soundtrack. They did a cover of one of Montrose's songs. I can't remember which song it was now, but they did a pretty good cover of it. I just can't remember what the hell the name of the song was now.
Rock Candy.
Yes, that one. Thank you.
Okay. So, programming note. In the future, when you want to send me a band that I'm going to make fun of, don't send me the video. That's where Stacy made a big mistake. She sent me a video, and I got to see what they look like, and the Breaking the Chains thing was horrible. The song that Pacifist just sent me is slightly more tolerable, but it was just audio, and there was a lot of like decent guitar riffs and stuff in there, so that was slightly more acceptable.
It's Not Love is a good one from them, if he sent you that link. But Defense Dad's got one out there we skipped over. Ugly Kid Joe.
Yeah.
Now, I like Ugly Kid Joe. One of my favorite songs is not on any of their albums. You got to get it on like their greatest hit albums called Too Bad Johnny. I always liked that song, but it was just not on there. Ugly as We Want to Be, and then what was the other one? As Ugly as It Gets or something?
I don't remember. They did a good cover of Cats in the Cradle.
Another good band we left out was Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla.
I like about everything Tesla ever did.
Yeah, poor Tesla got roped into that hair metal thing. Meanwhile, they were just a good rock and roll band. They weren't even metal. They were just a good rock and roll band. And somehow they got lumped into being hair metal. I still haven't figured that one out.
Well, they were good, man. They had two very good guitar players, man. That like where it wasn't just rhythm and lead. They would jump back and forth. You know what I mean?
Yeah, their guitar players are like if you had two Stevie Ray Vaughns in the same band. They could just jump from being rhythm to lead right, without skipping a beat. I still say to this day the definitive version of Little Wing is goddamn Stevie Ray Vaughan's version, the all instrumental version of it.
Anybody know when the next Rush concert is?
Mm.
Not all of them guys are still alive, are they?
No. Neil Peart's dead.
Yeah, didn't the drummer die just recently?
Yeah, that's what I just said.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to continue with that. Are they doing it? Are they actually on tour, or did they stop when he died? I don't know.
I don't really care about Rush. I was just talking about the Ben Stats comment, just by the way.
Oh, oh hell, man! When we went to the Megadeth concert, we had people doing lines of coke right in front of us. Turn around and ask us if we wanted any. So,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
so when we went to the Megadeth concert, there were people right in front of us doing coke, and they turned around and asked us if we wanted any.
Yeah, I've been a lot of Grateful Dead concerts, and no one's ever offered me any free drugs. Never, not once.
And brother and I were like, "Yeah, no, we're good."
I saw the Grateful Dead at the old Boston Garden, the original Boston Garden. There was a lot of drugs, but nobody offered them to me for free.
Yeah, that Megadeth show was at the old Civic Arena, which isn't there anymore. The Guns N' Roses Metallica show, that was at Three River Stadium, which isn't there anymore. You know, now I think about it, most of the concerts I've been to, the places I saw them weren't there anymore.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of the places that were kicking in the 80s and 90s around here is a thing of the past. They tore them down, built shopping malls and stuff.
Yeah, the Civic Arena was torn down and turned into a parking lot for Console Energy Center, which is now the big pink bucket PPG arena or whatever the hell they call it in Pittsburgh. And the River Stadium was between where Heinz Field and PNC Park now are.
Yeah, I saw AC/DC inside the Cleveland Cavaliers basketball arena, and you know, basketball arenas, the rows, the seating is steep. You know what I mean? Very steep, so they can get as many people in the building as they can. And AC/DC did a great show, and it was literally so loud. If you like stood up, like the sound and the music would almost like knock you down. You would almost fall. You were on such a steep angle if you stood up out of your seat. It was so steep you almost sat there clenching your armrests. You know what I mean? You didn't want to stand up. But they did for those about to rock with the 21 gun salute. They had like artificial cannons that came up out of the stage, but I could see at an angle a little bit backstage, and they had like National Guardsmen in there setting off like, you know, sound explosions for the 21 gun salute. It was loud. It was one of those concerts that truly your ears rang for 2 or 3 days once you got home.
Shit. I saw Kiss on the Revenge tour, and behind them they had the Statue of Liberty, right? They played God of War, and they blew the statue up. Right? They blew the front of the statue blows off of the Statue of Liberty, and it looks like a Terminator underneath. With instead of holding the torch at that point, just has its fist in the air. At the end of the concert, the fist turns around and gave everybody the bird.
I saw AC/DC at the old Garden as well, and Angus Young was he got carried off stage, and it was literally up with us in the stands while he was playing. It was unbelievable. It was pretty good.
War Machine, not God of War.
And you're right, Jason. They absolutely blew you away with the sound.
Yeah, Angus went out in the crowd on my concert too,
It
and
was a God of Thunder.
like he was jamming, all of a sudden you hear his strings get ripped, and the crowd just like grabbed his arms and his hands and his guitar and everything. He got like mobbed.
Yeah, it was God of Thunder. They blew up the Statue of Liberty because when they did it, they're like doing they're in the part where you get the drums where there's boom, 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 and then they had lightning come down and blew up the Statue of Liberty. Kiss puts on a hell of a show. Say what you want about Kiss, they put on a hell of a show. One person I always wanted to go see and never got a chance to was Alice Cooper.
Somebody sent me a picture of Alice Cooper the other day. I mean, Joe Biden the other day.
Yeah, yeah, I got that picture too.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny. You can strikingly see the resemblance. I mean,
Alice isn't that cruel. He would have told Joe to back off. No, you don't want to do this. Go back home. Go back to bed, Joe.
Alice would be driving Joe's Corvette.
Oh, Joe certainly shouldn't be driving Joe's Corvette. What the hell did he say the engine was in that thing?
Joe's Corvette?
Yeah.
I don't know, but I saw the video on it, and
Yeah.
he said it was his 1968 Corvette, except it wasn't a 1968
No, it's
body
not a
style.
68. It's an earlier one than that.
Yeah, it was they cut that body style off in 67. That's
Yeah.
like a 63 to 67 body right there.
Yeah.
He said it was a 68.
No, Joe, that's not a 68. 68's when they came out with the body style that would go all the way through the 70s into the early 80s.
Joe doesn't deserve that car.
No.
Joe doesn't deserve a lot of things.
Well, be that what it may, in the car world, Joe doesn't deserve that car.
Yeah, Rob's out there saying Alice is straightened up, probably isn't as good now. No, Alice Cooper, from all accounts, still puts on one hell of a show. He toned down some of the violence, but it's still, uh, it's still, it's still pretty out there. He doesn't have the nurse running around in very scanty clothes anymore or anything like that. But he's still doing. I think he said he's still getting his head cut off every night and all that other stuff. So.
Yeah, I remember the concert that he was at that I saw. I think he walked around half the time with like a boa constrictor around his neck.
Yeah, he just did a tour a couple years ago with Rob Zombie. Oh, I'd love to have seen that one.
It's funny. He's actually well known within the golfing world as well. He's pretty good.
Oh yeah, he's a very good golfer. Whenever they do one of those programs, everybody wants him on their team.
Yeah, he's really good. He's a scratch golfer.
He's a car collector too.
Yeah, and gun collector.
Very smart guy.
I'll tell you a guy who I was impressed with his smarts. Dave Mustaine from Metallica.
Oh, Megadeth.
When he was on Jeopardy.
Yeah.
That dude is a genius.
Oh, yeah.
That dude is very well read, very well studied in every form of music you can imagine. Yeah, that dude's brain still working
Yeah.
very well, man. He's a very intelligent person.
Yeah, you remember back in '92 when MTV first did the Rock the Vote thing? They had Dave Mustaine be one of their correspondents at the Republican National Convention, and he would get up and applaud the speakers and stuff. The rest of the MTV crew was just looking at him like, "What are you doing, man?" He would get up and he would be applauding the speakers that were speaking. That guy is a conservative guy, and a lot of people don't realize that. But yeah, well, Jason wasn't completely wrong, MKJO, because originally he was a Metallica. He was kicked out for being too much of a drunk and drug
Oh,
user.
I'm sorry. Did I say Metallica instead of Megadeth?
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yes.
you
Sorry.
technically you weren't wrong.
No, no.
If
Ain't
you
that
look at
crazy? The guys was afraid he'd beat him up and stuff.
what's crazy is if you stop and think about it, Metallica for their like first two tours and stuff backstage, their nickname was Alcoholica, and they kicked Dave Mustaine out for being too much of a partier. How's that for crazy? I mean, how bad was Mustaine at that point where he got kicked out of a band whose derogatory nickname was Alcoholica?
Well, what about Guns N' Roses drummer got kicked out
Yeah, for the
for
same
doing too
reason.
much drugs?
Yeah, same reason.
Boy, that's the pot calling the kettle black right there.
I know. How bad were those guys though? If you stop and think about it, where they're getting kicked out of two of the most notorious drug and alcohol using bands of that time period for being too heavy a partiers. How bad were they? I mean, with Steven Adler, we got an idea because the guy's had like 5 strokes. I'm surprised he can even talk at this point. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. You get kicked out of bands like that for being too hard of a partier.
Yeah, who didn't have the Guns N' Roses poster with them all sitting on the ground, half passed out with Jack Daniels bottles around them?
Yeah, MKJO says Steve Miller Band was a good show. That's one band that the bolder I get, the less I like them.
You remember from Caliber Corner, Rich, way back when? I can't remember his last name now, but it was Ben. The kid Ben. He lived in
Farrell?
Maryland too.
Ben Farrell?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's still on YouTube, and every once in a while, I unsubscribed from him maybe like a year ago because I just never watched. But he'd go live, and he'd just be standing there trying to play the guitar,
Oh God.
and he'd be live for like 2 or 3 hours,
Crackle Junior.
and he'd be like chong 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 chong, and then he'd knock out a chord or two or something like that. Like he could play better than I can, but he definitely couldn't play.
God, we got into it the one day. I forget about what way. This was a couple years ago. I just tore into him.
He was at first he was nice, and everybody treated him alright because he was on the younger side. But you guys might not know, but this guy Ben Farrell, he would come into the Caliber Corners chat room all the time and just pester the shit out of Travis.
Oh, he would pester the hell out of everybody.
Everybody.
It's like, dude, fuck off. God damn.
Clover's here.
Evening Clover. But yeah, Ben Farrell. God damn. And then he started getting on planes. Remember when he was having his plane era where all he wanted to do was talk about fucking planes whenever he would get on somebody's show? I think the best one though was when he was, I think it was on Matt's show. You know, Never Enough Ammo. his mother yells down in the basement, "Get your ass to bed! You got school in the morning." Everybody on the panel lost it. He's getting told off by his mother on YouTube.
He was always so angry.
Uh-huh.
Maybe not angry, but like frustrated at least.
Yeah, he lived, what, near Annapolis, if I remember right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about somebody who was a pain in the ass.
The first time I seen that he was doing his live streaming the guitar, I sent it to Travis, and Travis just sent back LOL. You know, we talked about it later. He thought it was funny, but yeah, he thought it was pretty funny.
God, I even God, I don't even don't know the last time I even heard anybody talk about him. Like everybody forgot about him. It's like, yeah, okay, he's one of those guys. Yeah, okay, he's gone. Let's do something else now. Get that guy. Okay, Joe says not everyone from Annapolis is a pain. I hope.
Everybody that works there is, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Clover just described him to a T. Clover's description here fits Ben Farrell perfectly.
Well, remember, I don't know if were you in the chat when we found out? Like he was telling everybody, like just educating everybody. And then somewhere somebody asked him, he was like, "How old are you, man?" He was like, "I'm about to turn 18." I was like, "Oh, now we know who we got on our hands."
Uh-huh. Bro, you're one of those. And the best part, I tried helping him out because he was like wanting to do a book report when I think he was a senior year in high school. He wanted to do a book report on gun control. I was going to send him all the sources I had that I used on my college report for gun control, right? And he's like, "No, I don't need your help." I'm like, "Okay, well, fuck you too."
I was the only one that was ever nice to him. I went out of my way to say hello to him all the time. "How you doing, bud?" And not once did he ever talk to me. Not once. He commented back on a video one of his live streams rendered into a video, and I was just like, "Hey man, keep practicing." And he texted back, "Yup."
Yeah, I mean, oh. Yeah, he wasn't just like, "No, no, I don't, thanks, but no, I don't need that." He was like, "No, I don't need your help." And he said it all rude and ignorant and shit. I was like, "Well, fuck you too." I mean, seriously.
Glad I never knew this kid.
Yeah, like
Was he
Clover said,
was he recent or is this like
no,
years ago?
this was a few years ago.
Yeah, Clover remembers him.
Yeah, Clover. Yeah, yeah. He had some good ideas, but he didn't have very good people skills. I think was part of his problem. But then, like Clover said, he was just a kid. So, you know,
Kind of reminds me of like you guys are from the Warsaw Patriot, kind of,
oh
but
God,
like half his age though. Like
uh huh.
Warsaw's 10 years older than this kid or whatever.
Oh God, could you imagine if Warsaw actually is him and he moved to wherever Warsaw lives?
Well, now I've seen what Ben looks like from him playing the guitar, so I can say that at least on video they're not the same person.
Buck says he remembers him. Yeah, yeah, Clover, I agree. Warsaw, like Kingpin was saying, is very much like him. I've gotten into it with Warsaw too, so
The one thing I'll give Warsaw though is he has good intentions and he has what he thinks is like a witty sense of humor. Ben was Ben was just frustrated. Yeah, I have no idea how old Warsaw is.
yeah, Warsaw's in his 20s. He's, I think he said one
He
day he
does
was
some
like
really good
23,
videos.
24.
Yeah, his woodburn stuff's getting better too, and he always comes up with all kinds of interesting stuff.
Yeah, the way he presents his videos is pretty good.
I want to see him and Daniel from Pretty Miss Tuesday Nights 9 o'clock in like a celebrity death match against each other.
The one thing about Warsaw, he's got his convictions and he sticks to them.
We were arguing like 2 or 3 weeks ago. Daniel said something that Warsaw didn't like, so Warsaw deleted his message and then threatened to suspend him from it. I was like, wait a second. I said, Daniel's the only person that watches Night Strikes videos on a regular basis, and he super chats throughout the whole. Every time Night Strike goes live, Daniel super chats the whole time. And you're gonna kick that guy out of Night Strike's channel? I said, you better talk to Night Strike before you start doing that. He's like, well, he made me angry. So anytime you say anything bad about him, he'll delete your comment if you don't have a wrench. And Daniel didn't even say anything bad about it. It was just a little poke.
Mm-hmm. Well, when I went off on Warsaw during G23's show, it wasn't just a little poke. I called him every damn name in the book that night.
Well, yeah, you guys were fighting. Sometimes, like on Night Strike's channel, he's trying to be witty, so he's kind of aggravating because he's trying to be witty. But you guys were just battling.
Yeah. Well, I got tired of this shit. And he wouldn't leave Midnight alone, and I just had him. And Midnight, he's not gonna go off on somebody like that. So I just had enough of it, and I told him exactly. I told him all about himself that night.
Do you remember when somebody had a shadow channel, the Warsaw Patriot, and they were going back and forth in the chats as to who was the real Warsaw Patriot? That was funny shit.
The internet's an interesting place, that's for sure.
Uh-huh. Yeah, you meet some really interesting people if you're doing an internet show. Sometimes people that you wonder what is wrong with them, but did they forget to take their meds that day, or the present company excluded, of course.
I take meds every day. I'm not too sure whose they are, but I take.
I've been called weird my whole life.
Maybe I'm taking your meds.
Yeah, that could be it.
I self-medicate.
Oh man, we've been going for almost 2 hours now.
You run out of gas, bro?
I hardly slept last night.
That's no excuse, Rich. Tough it up.
Yeah. Hardly sleeping with running to the toilet because of a fucking antibiotic.
I hardly slept last year, Rich. and
You
I'm still
hardly have
going.
you you are hardly home last year. You're always working.
Dude, I take off my work boots, go to bed, and when it's time to go to work, I put my boots on. They're still warm.
Uh-huh.
When you go to work, you're home. That is your home.
Yeah, I, I'm living the dream, building somebody else's.
Uh-huh.
Man, when I was in construction, it was either 80 hours a week or 20 hours a week. There was pretty much no in between. It's like I was, trimming out somebody's house for 12 hours a day or building a back deck on the back of their home just to fill the hours for a few hours a day. There was like no in between.
Yeah, I actually got a day off this week during the week. Unheard of. I mean, I don't even get holidays off, you know. Uh, the work hit a slow spot because the week before, every supervisor was gone. They got sent to like a company vacation, all inclusive seminar resort thing for a week. So naturally, people sat on their ass last week, didn't get nothing done. So it caused me to have a hiccup for a minute, and I had a whole day off. And I knew about the night before, so I had all these big plans. I was gonna get stuff ready. Maybe I was gonna go cast some bullets outside. I was gonna clean this back porch. I was gonna do all this stuff. I was gonna even clean out my gutters. And I got that day off, and I end up pissing the whole day away playing video games and didn't do a damn thing.
Yeah.
Oh, you hit the wrong button, I bet. Uh, New York, Rob out there. The rest of us are paying money for gas. Apparently, he's paying time for gas.
Now that was funny.
Jason dumped himself.
Uh-huh.
Actually, Jason, I know exactly what you're talking about as far as having a day off because I don't have many of those. So I had one today, and I actually got shit done. I snaked my drain. I replaced my downspout in my tub. I changed the trigger on my CZ. I cleaned up the house. I don't know what the hell got into me. Usually I do the same thing. I just piss the day away.
Dave, you'd make somebody a fine little woman.
I got to put a wig on, and I can possibly double my wardrobe.
Yeah, I just couldn't help myself, man. I just had to piss the whole day away.
I think we've all had those kind of days before.
Tomorrow is my day off, and I'm going to go to the range in the morning, and I'm going to go to my mother's house, and I'm going to piss the rest of the day. I'll probably piss the day away at the range and at my mom's.
I'm actually hitting the range early in the morning tomorrow. Supposed to meet up with Chris from the 740. Then I'm going to a Mother's Day dinner, and I need to get some flowers and stop by the cemetery. And I'll have a pretty busy day, but sounds like I'm going to have a whole lot of fun.
Hey, get that money that he owes me while you're over there.
Something must have happened to one of the
Not a
old
problem.
folks. Something must have happened to one of the old folks across the street. We got an ambulance out front.
Oh, Clover, he's
Yeah.
letting a few go tomorrow.
Yeah.
I feel for you, man. It's a funny feeling you get inside your gut, you know. But hopefully they go to a good home. That's about all you can hope for.
Yeah, they're going to somebody that wants them, so they will. They obviously already love them or will grow to love them in a very short period. I've sold guns, and I always think about the guns that I've sold, and it's hard to feel regret because they're with somebody that cherishes them and wants them and hopefully uses them.
Yeah. Speaking of old guns, my son got the firing pin for his Winchester 94 and finally got that back together.
Oh, those are fun to take apart, aren't they?
Oh yeah, yeah, that was a real blast to have to take apart and put back together.
So the last few guns I sold were to local FFL, and he's a friend of mine, so I can talk to him about like where they went to. They didn't like in this market. They didn't even hit his case. They were sold immediately. He had people in mind for them as soon as I sold them to him. He gave me a really good price, and he was on the phone with the people that he was going to sell them to within an hour or so, and they were sold. And so I get the backstory, which is pretty cool.
I sold one. Well, I sold a rifle, sort of, not really. Uh, but the only gun that I've ever actually sold was the P365. I owned it for about a week. I let my friend take it to the range because he was going to buy it, and then he realized how much of a piece of junk it was, and one of his friends said that he wanted it, so we sold it to him. So I ended up selling my P365 to a cop.
Hmm. It was a piece of crap, huh?
Oh yeah, don't do it. Dude.
My brother-in-law carries a 365, and I've shot it a few times. It's pretty nice.
Oh man,
I got a 1911 from Smith and Wesson. That's a junk gun. It needs a lot of work, and I've often thought about selling it, but I hate to pass a problem gun on to somebody else.
Well,
Unassuming. I hate to do that to one of my fellow Americans. But part of me wants to fix the thing, so I won't admit defeat. I'll just keep throwing money at it and elbow grease till it works good. And part of me says send it to like Wilson and just have them fix it, but it's the one gun I hate to. I would love to sell it, but I hate to pass, like I said, a lemon on to somebody else.
the guys last night in Gary's chat said you could give me a 1911, so you can give me that one and I'll fix it up.
We're friends, Richie. This one's. I'd
yeah,
give you a different one than this one, man. Come on,
you could
brother.
probably find a tinkerer that's
No, I
looking for
wouldn't.
a challenge.
No, I wouldn't mind fixing it up. I mean, I was being, ain't no big thing. I've fixed things before, and it's not that.
I sold a Sig 938 to a local gun shop that I told him about the problems when I sold it to him. He still gave me $300 for it. And every time I went in there after that, it was in the case for sale, and he's probably just passing it on to somebody else. But I, cleared my conscience by telling him about the problems that I was having with it. And it's really tough to sell a Sig here in New Hampshire because they're in New Hampshire, and everybody and their brother gets a discount on a Sig up here. So he's one of the only shops that'll actually give you a few $100 for a Sig.
In response to this, Buck asked Clover, "Are you feeling okay?" Because Clover's selling 22 long rifles. Well, according to Ghost, we know Clover's something's wrong when Clover's selling shotguns. Ghost says that Clover likes shotguns more than 22 long rifles.
If Clover opened his own gun store with just his shotguns and his 22s, he could put Cabela's and Dick's and all those places out of business overnight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, still I feel for you, man. The having to sell 3 of them. Oh,
I don't know. I was at Walmart the other day, and they had a few nice nylons in the case.
Now we got to ask if something's wrong because Clover said he sold 15 shotguns late last year. You sure everything's okay, Clover?
Well, you
I
guys
know.
got to consider all those guns were weighing his property down. He was starting to sink into the ground.
yeah, I got some words that might make old Clover flip his wig, but I do not own a shotgun.
Hey, mate, G-Web's proud.
I own one shotgun and one shotgun shell firing firearm.
Yeah, I even went to the gun store today and didn't get a gun. Didn't see but one thing in there that interested me. I checked myself. I didn't really have a fever or anything, but I don't know, man. Old age might be starting to kick my ass or something.
The only gun shop that I could go to after work, unless, the house I was working in caught on fire when we pulled up, uh, sucks really bad. And I just don't go there. And I'm dying to get a new gun, but I just can't make it to the guns.
Yeah. Clover says he got a BB gun today. Does that count?
Yeah.
I almost bought a BB gun scope today, which would have led me to buying a BB gun. My dealer had a bunch of scopes, used scopes for sale. Somebody brought in. I picked up a Bushnell 4-power 4x32 fixed power scope for like $20.
4x32, really?
Yeah, there's an old one made in Japan.
Wow.
Couldn't pass that up. It's got just a few scratches where the rings were on it, but they said, we can't guarantee, they'll adjust or anything. The sight was clear through it and everything. I was like, for $20, I'm going to stick this on like a
Nice.
Ruger 1022 or something. Perfect little scope, so I couldn't pass that up. I just, for $20, it's just sitting there. I had to take it.
So is it a fixed 4-power with a 32 exposure?
Yeah, it's a fixed 4-power.
That's nice.
It's pretty clear. I mean, I don't know what those are really worth, but it's more than $20. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'll take it, especially because it's a little older. It might be a little better quality that way.
What company is it? Does it say?
It's a Bushnell.
Bushnell. I hate bad gun shops. Going back to what Kingpin was saying, I literally have a gun shop up the top of my street here, and I won't go in there because they're just dickheads, absolute dickheads, and everything they have is overpriced. And you walk in there and they're like superior to you, and they talk down to you, and it's like, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
Go bang yourself. I'm not coming here. And then you go online and you put that gun shop in, and absolutely everybody says the same thing. And I deliver my route is up here in my same the same area that I live, and I deliver pallets of shotgun shells to these guys, and they get all buddy to you in that situation. But then if you go into their shop, they're absolute dickheads. I don't know how they stay in business.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, Clover's out there talking. What I said, I almost bought a BB gun scope. They had one of those really old Tascos, super skinny scope. I mean, I don't know what the millimeters on it would be, but I don't know. The whole scope ain't much bigger round than like a nickel or something. And it was only $10. And I was like, but I'd had to go buy a BB gun for it.
Oh hell, that's like buying a magazine and then having to go buy the gun after you buy the magazine.
I tell you what, a friend of mine has one of those little cheap Tasco BB gun scopes, 22 scopes, and he duct taped it onto a blowgun. And man, he picked squirrels off of the tree out front all day long. Man. I haven't blown through it and shot a dart, but I've held it up and looked through it and everything. Works perfect.
I got to get one of those because I got a squirrel that runs off my back deck every day, same time every day.
SKS.
Oh man, he's got these darts that got like a 4-inch needle spike coming out of them, man, and he'd just pin them squirrels right to a tree branch.
My kids are like, "Oh, the squirrel's back." I'm gonna be like, "Hey, you want to pet him?"
Yeah, I had one that
Put a
annoyed
dart in
me
your
so
cranium.
much. I had one that when we lived in my wife's grandmother's old house that annoyed me so bad I just shot it with an SKS.
I hate when they get that close to the house, like on your deck. Ooh, I want to shoot him so bad.
Oh man, the I've got the squirrels tame here at my house, man. I feed them. I feed the squirrels and the birds. Throw shit right on the deck. The squirrels come right in and damn near walk in my screen door.
Well, it's cool if they
They,
stay
they walk
outside.
by and
If they come in, then you're screwed.
yeah, they're really fun. I pull in the driveway and they come running from the yards across the street. The birds bitch and raise hell all morning till I feed them. But the squirrels are always over here looking for stuff, man, and they're pretty tame. They're used to me, and they don't run off. Even when I come out the door, like they come towards you more than they do away from you. And I got peanuts and old cereal, breakfast cereal, and everything. I feed them like every single day, man. And they're like pissed if I'm not out there feeding them.
Yeah, I think that's what the one that runs across my deck every day has peanuts in his mouth. So I think my neighbor's putting out peanuts.
Well, this little bastard, he would throw walnuts at you all the time. He'd get up in the walnut tree that was up front of the house, and you walk between our house and my mother-in-law's house, and you would just get pelted with walnuts. I had enough of it one day and the other day. We ended up with.
And he would scream at you.
Uh-huh.
All right,
Uh,
Clover's calm down.
just the other day, had an eagle just right down the street, 50 yards down the street at me at the stop sign, sitting in the tree. Dead tree branch right there. A huge eagle, full grown. I couldn't believe it. He was sitting there. And now I got to do some searching to see if he's got a nest or something close around here. But I'm a few streets into town. You gotta take 2-3 streets till you hit nothing but country fields for 20 miles. So he could have a nest here real close by, and that'd be just pretty cool, man.
All right, boys, I'm out.
All right, Dave.
Later,
good one,
bro.
Later,
Cynthia.
man. Have a good one.
Have a good night, everybody. Take it, everybody in the chat. Thanks for hanging out.
So, what are we going to talk about now?
I'm pissed up here. It's May and I have my heat on. 52 degrees here.
It's not
Lot
not
of
much
wood.
warmer here. Might be cooler,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it's been cold
Perfect
here
night
all
to have a
week.
fire, but I'm completely out of wood.
We had damn rain go through, and it got cold last night.
Yeah,
For
we've
this
had
time of year.
rain and colder weather all week. I think it's like, well, it's like 40 right now.
Yeah, it got down to like 42 last night, which is cold for this time of year. Especially with it being wet because it was still raining. Thank God I didn't have to go outside. That would be the kind of rain that would just freeze you to death. I'd rather have snow than that kind of rain, where it's like in the upper 30s, low 40s, and it's raining. That's got to be the fucking worst. That's got to be the worst.
Up here in New Hampshire, we're getting more days like that where it would typically be snow, but now it's starting off as rain and then it gets a little bit colder and turns into ice. So we're getting more ice days, which is
Mm-hmm.
not typical of what I remember. I remember that from like my days driving over the road down in Kentucky and through the Blue Hills and whatnot, where it rains all day and then freezes at night.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm used to up here in New Hampshire. It's all snow usually, but now it's different.
Yeah, this time of year at night it's like in the mid 50s. So we dropped down to 42 last night, and they're saying it's possibility of getting colder tonight.
Yeah, I think Monday and Tuesday here is supposed to be like 70 and 80. But we've just had a cold spell here for a week.
Let's see, what's the temperature? It's 44 here right now.
Yeah, it's cold for this time of year.
Mm-hmm. At least it stopped raining.
Sounds like it's raining.
No, that was just me moving my headphone. My microphone's built into the headset, and my ear was itchy, so I had to move the headset. But no, it's not raining. I think the ambulance left. Yep, it's gone.
So I put this new trigger 85C into my CZP01 today, and it's got the two spots with the small Allen screws that come with it. One's for the over travel, and the one that is above it, I don't know what the hell it's for. And so I put it in there, and I put it flush with the front of the trigger and the back of the trigger, and I got everything installed. And I go to function test it, and I have a completely dead trigger. I'm like, what the hell? Did I screw something out when I was lifting the trigger bar or whatever, move it out of place? And I'm effing with it for like an hour. And then it's like 2 hours, and I'm trying to figure out what the hell it is. And so I get a completely dead trigger, but if I put any back pressure on the trigger at all, boom, the trigger bar pops up to where it needs to be, and it fires it. It's not. I don't even have to pull it into like a quarter cock or anything. It's just any slight pressure back on it. And so it dawns on me, it's got to be that top screw that I put in with the Allen. And so I screw it in a little bit more so it doesn't hit the front of the frame when the trigger resets or the trigger spring pushes the trigger back. And then the trigger sticks to the back of the trigger frame or the trigger guard or whatever. And so I had to completely pull that screw out. So I'm like, what the fuck is the purpose of that spring? If you push it back just a hair, it's going to pin the trigger back to the back of the trigger guard. And if you have it forward just a little bit, you're not going to be able to pull the trigger.
I don't know.
Yeah, it completely dumbfounded me. I didn't see. And so now I have you can't see it because it's up in the frame until you pull the trigger completely to the rear. But I had to completely pull it out to get the gun to function.
Maybe it's some kind of safety device while you're installing it. Then.
I don't know what the hell it is. Like, what would the purpose of that screw be?
I don't know, but you kind of need to keep all the parts in it that it came with. So,
but you have to install that screw.
Yeah, I don't know. Did you look to see if there's like any videos on that trigger or anything?
Oh yeah, I scoured the fucking internet about what the hell that screw is for. And the only install video I found about this trigger specifically just mentions the bottom over travel screw. He doesn't put the top screw in at all.
like a pre-travel screw.
I don't know what the hell it would be for. And there's like no leeway at all.
I don't know.
Because the original trigger that comes with it doesn't have any of the screws in it. Like, I can understand the over travel screw if you want to mess with that, but this top screw that interacts directly with the frame to the point where it's going to hold the trigger back so the trigger bar doesn't get into the position it needs to go into to fire the double action from double action.
Maybe that's like the gun safety lock on a Smith & Wesson or a Taurus.
It just sounds like a pre-travel screw.
But the way that it works, like if you have it in true double action, which is never the case unless you drop the hammer physically to fire the gun with a chambered round, because if you chamber a round, it's going to go into single action, and then if you decock it, it's going to go into half cock, which it would be able to fire. Unless you drop that hammer physically by pulling the trigger, then you wouldn't have a dead trigger in any other situation. But I don't understand what that screw would be for.
But it's working okay with the screw out of it?
Oh yeah, it's working 100% now that I took the screw out.
Yeah,
but if I did like a little bit of a turn to make it flush so that the trigger bar would go into position to fire in double action, then the trigger wouldn't come forward. It would stick to the back of the guard. It's so weird. I can't figure it out.
Turn
Maybe
your
they
gun
used
into a
that-
single action?
Yeah, maybe they used that screw to to take care of guns that had some really loose tolerances or something in them, and your gun's good enough that it doesn't need that screw.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely. That could
it
be the
sounds
case.
like the screw would probably work, but it's probably only got one little, very small tolerance of in and out that would
Yes.
make it function both ways.
There's no
Too
in
much or
between with
too
this
little,
one.
either way is gonna to take away your your single action or your double action, one or the other. So I bet it's just there in case you have a gun that just has some crazy tolerances or something.
Yeah, it
Uh,
could be because it's
so
out. It's you can't see it until you pull the trigger completely to the rear.
yeah, usually guns that come with like a trigger preset like that and stuff, those kits, it's kind of like a band aid to fix a tolerance problem. You know what I mean? A truly good gun shouldn't have to have a preset trigger, so or
Yeah.
screw. So yeah, you'll probably be fine without it. Sounds like it's just in there like I was saying. Just one little bit of turn, it won't work. One little turn off, it will. Uh, yeah, I think you're just right there at the edge of a tolerance.
Other than that, the trigger's great.
Nice. I'm gonna get to shoot some Smith and Wesson M&Ps tomorrow. Uh,
Nice.
gonna
Newer ones.
Yeah, they're newer ones. That Chris from the 740 is bringing some stuff out to the range. He's got a lot of pistols with red dots, and so he's gonna let me try out some red dots and see what I think. So who knows? Maybe I'll leave there wanting to buy something, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, red dots. Red dots are nice. They're accurate. I mean, it makes a pistol at 50 to 100 yards way more accurate. As far as like close distances with a pistol between iron sights and a red dot, that's completely personal preference. But I think the majority of people think that a red dot is much more easy to acquire at even short distances than iron sights.
Yeah, I don't have a single pistol with a red dot on it. So,
Yeah, I don't either. I got to looking at some Beretta slides already done up for red dot plate, and I was looking at one from Langdon Tactical. He just sends you the slide, the plate, and some really tall like suppressor height sights on it. Sends you the whole slide for $575, and then I go look.
Look up here.
I can buy one from the whole gun from Beretta, cut for an RMR for $650. So for 75 more bucks, I can get the whole gun as compared to a slide.
This little guy's just purring his little butt off right now. I don't know if you guys can hear him or not.
Is that one of the kittens you kept?
Yeah. Yeah, he just came up and said hi. Say hi, I guess. Now he's leaving.
All right, guys, I'm gonna go to bed.
Oh, man, you were asking me if I was running out of gas. I see how it is. Yeah, I think you want to say or plug or anything before you get out of here?
Uh, I put that trigger in the CZ, so I'm probably gonna take her out tomorrow. Break in that trigger with a couple drills, and maybe I'll film it. Maybe I won't. I'm not sure. But thanks for the invite, brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Later, Jason.
Yeah, good to see you, man. Have
Good
a
to
good
see you
one.
too, brother.
Yeah, a good one. Yeah, and then there were two.
Two little Indians. What you doing for Mother's Day, Rich?
Nothing.
Well, that sounds like fun.
Mm-hmm. It's not just Mother's Day tomorrow. Wife's birthday's tomorrow too.
Uh, well, I hope you don't forget.
Well, hell, she forgot. She didn't get me anything, so I didn't get her anything either.
You should at least be nice to her tomorrow.
What's the fun in that?
Oh, suck it up. It's only one day. At least you get to buy Mother's Day and a birthday all in one shot.
I ain't got no money for that. And then cable company fucked us over, so I ain't got no money. Our bank account's in the negative right now.
Oh, man.
Yeah,
The cable companies are evil.
yeah they
Just
went.
pure evil.
Yeah, I don't know if you were in Gary's chat last night when I was telling the guys they went and freaking switched our account over to auto pay without asking, and then took money out at the beginning of the month when normally we pay the bill in the middle of the month. Totally fucked up our bank account.
Oh, that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my cable company is just pure evil. Pure evil. It's probably like the most expensive bill I have.
Yeah, I can see that. Uh,
Yeah,
she
man,
was.
all my bills, my water bills usually about $80. My electric hardly goes over like 110, 115. Sometimes it's only 90 some. My gas bill, even in the winter, doesn't really go, doesn't really get close to 200 or anything. But man, my cable's like 214 a month.
Yeah. She called a couple weeks ago to when she called to get the security system put in through them, so we'd only have one bill to pay. And she was gonna see about cutting back some of the service for like channels and stuff we don't use. It would cost us freaking more to cut back on our cable plan that we have now than
Yeah,
the one we have.
yeah. I'm already getting all the package discounts and plans I can get. It's
Mm-hmm.
still crazy.
Yeah, when we got the cable, somehow we ended up with Showtime being part of our plan, and we wanted to get rid of that, right? And they're like, no, you can't get rid of it. If you get rid of it, you gotta get rid of all your whole plan. It was like, I don't remember ever goddamn signing up for Showtime in the first place. It's like, who the hell did we get that? But, yeah, it was like, well, can we switch it to like Stars or something? And like, nope, you got to keep Showtime. I don't fucking want Showtime.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if I have any of those extra channels or not. I'm not sure. Haven't watched any of those kind of channels in years.
I think we get like Showtime and Epics and some of the Stars channels, but not all of them.
I got more channels than you could watch, man. I don't know. They go for. I still got like a couple hundred channels that's not HD, and then you got to go to like start at channels 1000 and up, and then you got all
Hmm.
your channels that's HD. So
Yeah.
then I got I got channels that are like music radio stations and stuff. I
Hmm.
mean, I got so much stuff. I mean, you can't even go through the TV guide on it and find anything. Out of out of all the channels I get, I bet you can't even hardly find anything worth your time of watching.
Hmm. What was nice about Dish when we had Dish when we lived again at my wife's grandmother's old house, when we lived there and we had Dish Network, uh, their radio stations were Sirius XM channels, which was cool. The radio channels that they have on Sirius XM absolutely suck ass.
I really do any of the TV that I watch. I kind of just do it right off the internet. You just go to that channel and like you got to sign in through your cable provider.
Hmm.
So you still got to have cable TV, but you can access what you want on the internet if you got like your cable company ID number and stuff. But if you didn't have to have the cable and those companies would still offer you their show on the internet, that'd be great. But I just find, like I go to like historychannel.com and I just watch the show straight from History Channel. I don't bother with the TV set.
Well, the Xfinity, I can watch the actual Xfinity channels online too.
I do know what sucks is the History Channel has some spin off channels like
Hmm.
military history and history of firearms and some cool stuff like that. But I don't get those channels, believe it or not.
Hmm. We get the military history channel. We don't get the firearms one. I didn't even know they had a firearms one. Probably better than their actual history channel, which is all these alien shit or Pawn Stars.
Oh, I can't stand Pawn Stars. Oh, absolutely can't stand it. And I can't stand that gator hunting show either.
I never watched that gator hunting shit. Who's
I watched a couple seasons 10, 12 years ago, and it was pretty good, I guess. And I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, I
It's the
watched the
same old
first.
thing, man. They're hunting alligators and bitching about the weather and
Yeah,
their time limit.
I watched the first couple seasons of Pawn Stars. It was all right. Then they had that one season or that spin-off one that was in Louisiana. That one was more interesting, I thought, but that one got killed off real quick. They canceled that quick. But that one, they used to have some really cool firearms and stuff come in on that one.
Yeah, I like the early Pawn Stars until I discovered on my own, seeing that this is fake.
Hmm.
These stories they just told you was fake, and then I once I caught on to that, then I read some stuff one time on the internet that reaffirmed my beliefs and shit. That, all of those are completely fake. Every one of those transactions, all of that, it's just a setup TV show. It's fake. And once I realized that, I kind of lost interest in it. I noticed it because actually Pawn Stars spun off a lot of other shows on the History
Yeah.
Channel, and like I'd sitting there watching it, and there's kind of episodes that stood out in your mind because like the seller was like a really smart ass, or Rick was like really tough and rude and messing with this customer and shit. And I'd seen the same customer in there like a couple times selling like trying to sell Super Bowl rings for like way too much money and try to sell old guns for way too much money. And I kept noticing, man, that guy's familiar. Then it turns out the guy who was like one of these customers all the time, he was the brother of that Rick's Restoration guy out there in Las Vegas. And when that show started, I was like, well, hey, there's the guy that's always on Pawn Stars as a customer. Then I started, now I see what's going on. And then the Counting Cars came along, and one of his friends, Davy Deals,
Hmm.
I've seen episodes, Davy Deals' house and his car collection and all this stuff. He's well to do. I would say millionaire. And
Oh
then you
yeah.
see him on Pawn Stars, and he's trying to pawn a motorcycle or something. He's talking about how broke he is, and he just needs the money for payroll or this or that. It's all set up lie. They all act like they don't know each other. And then they had an episode where Rick from the Pawn Stars was getting married or something,
Mm-hmm.
or it was his birthday or something. So they had a party, and they had all these people there. And then lo and
Oh yeah, I
behold,
saw that one.
here's all the people I recognize, and they start telling stories. Oh, I've known Rick for 25 years, and oh, I've known him forever, and oh, I met him the first day I came to town, and all this. And I was like, yeah, but you were all on shows, acting like you didn't know each other. So once I saw that and I figured out that show was fake, I kind of lost interest in it. Then I saw like what I read or something about the show being fake. They have some kind of law out there in Nevada that you cannot film a business transaction or something like that under
Oh,
legal law there. So every single one of those, transactions, and like, oh, great, I'll write you up right over here. All of that is fake. You cannot film a business transaction in Nevada or wherever. So, like, I just see that all those are set up fakes. You know what I mean? But they do provide, you get to see some interesting stuff and get a little history lesson on them. That's cool and all, but it's fake.
that Louisiana one, they had some cooler firearms than what they would get on Pawn Stars because they've had like more modern stuff. Like you had to have an FFL for and stuff on that one.
Yeah, the Pawn Stars got to be non-FFL guns,
Yeah,
pre
yeah.
1900 or
Rick
whatever.
won't get an FFL. Never said why he won't get an FFL. He just won't get an FFL.
Oh, probably insanely too much hassle for him. I saw some stuff on him. He owns a lot of businesses.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of businesses and shopping malls and stuff. It's probably just not in his best interest to get into FFL.
Yeah, he said that him and his dad had talked about it one time. They decided not to. They never said why.
Well, seeing how his children and his
Yeah.
longest employees are constantly getting busted by the police for
Uh-huh.
drugs or something, maybe he,
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
want to get into the FFL business.
Yeah. Remember when Chumley was facing years in prison and he never did?
Could you imagine
And then
Chumley
somehow got out
signing
of that shit.
Chumley signing off on your 4473?
Oh yeah. Well, that wouldn't exactly be legal. Maybe that's why he had to fire Chumley if they did.
Get the wrong serial number on your gun, wrong name, wrong address.
Yeah, Chumley asking people,
Straw purchases.
you want some meth with that gun? We're a one-stop shop. I'll sell you some meth and the gun.
Not to say there's anything illegal about it, because he did things legally, but my mom had a boyfriend for a while, owned a very large gun shop. He owned like the second largest gun shop down here in Columbus. And he had a shop in like a little little mini mall
Mm-hmm.
thing, whatever, little center.
Yeah.
And there happened to be a jewelry store in the same area. And of course, he had a lot of jewelry himself. He was well to do. But let's just basically refer to him as like gang members. The gang members would come in there and buy guns with like gold jewelry and stuff, not cash. And then he would take the jewelry and run it over to the jewelry store and sell it to them and make more profit than he would have off the gun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He used to do that all the time.
Well, let's see. We've been going for 2 hours and 40 minutes almost. I guess we can start wrapping this up. Anything you want to plug or anything before we get out of here?
Uh, no, I don't have anything to plug. Just keep watching everybody's channels on YouTube and keep joining in the conversations. And YouTube's a wonderful thing if we use it to our advantage.
And on that note, we will say good night for today. And again, tomorrow night will be the wrestling pay per view watch along for WWE's WrestleMania Backlash, which I'm not expecting big things from because most of the match I don't even know what all the matches are. The only one I know for sure is the main event, which isn't what it was supposed to be. They changed it. So, yeah.
Who's the main event? Let me know.
It's the Usos and Roman Reigns versus uh, RK Bro and McIntyre.
So it's a tag match. Is the main
Yeah.
event?
Well, the main event was originally was supposed to be the Usos and RK Bro to merge the SmackDown and Raw tag team titles, and for some reason on SmackDown they decided that last week I think it was that they were going to change what the main event was and threw Reigns and McIntyre into the match too. No idea why they did that. But yeah. Anyway, that's what's going on tomorrow. And like I said, I'm not even sure what the other matches are.
You know, WrestleMania tomorrow. That would be a good time for MK Joe to join us.
Well, it's not WrestleMania. It's WrestleMania Backlash. It used to just be called Backlash, but for some reason they decided to throw WrestleMania in there too. Even though WrestleMania was a month ago. Yeah.
Well, I understand. It's the backlash from what happened at WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Scores got to be settled, Rich.
Uh-huh. But WrestleMania is
Bloodlust.
supposed to do that. That's what WrestleMania is supposed to do. You're supposed to settle your scores at WrestleMania. Shouldn't be any scores left to settle. But anyway, we'll bid you all good night. So,
Yeah.
say good night, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.